And as we remember President George H.W. Bush this morning, this is a view of the house where he lived in New Haven, Connecticut with his wife, Barbara, more than 70 years ago. Remember, Mr. Bush was then a student at Yale University, married to Barbara. He enrolled after World War II and graduated then in 1948. The couple went on to have 6 children, 17 grandchildren, and 8 great-grandchildren. We sat down with Lauren and Pierce Bush. They are children of the former president's 3rd son, Neil. And like their grandfather, both have committed themselves to public service. Lauren Bush founded FEED, a company dedicated to fighting world hunger. Pierce Bush is CEO of Big Brothers Big Sisters Lone Star in Texas, the organization's largest affiliate. He was in the room when his grandfather died on Friday. I know you were with him in his final moments.
How was? It was just really peaceful. And it was so clear to me, Norah. There was just a moment, a 5-second moment. And it was so clear that his soul had left his body, and my grandfather, Gampy, as we call him, was no longer there. And there was no doubt in my mind that he was up in heaven, being united with his maker, and obviously being reunited with our grandmother, Ganny, and his daughter, Robin, and other loved ones. So it was really just a really peaceful moment.
He said in a letter in 1984, "It's a funny thing, when you get older, even if you have an exciting life surrounded by interesting people and having a chance to meet all the world leaders, even with all that, what counts is family and love. We love you already more than tongue can tell."
Yeah, I think that says it all. I mean, he lived that exciting life surrounded by world leaders and had really interesting jobs, and yet he was very much grounded in his family and in the sense of love and kindness for those around him, and that was true. That's not lip service.
You once got a very important letter from him once after you had gotten into some big trouble, right?
Yes. When I just graduated from college, and I wrecked his boat on the rocks in a very gentle way. It was
Fidelity.
His
famous boat.
The next night, I also got a lashing from my grandmother, who showed more. She was always loving, but showed more of a tough love than my grandfather. And I could see in his eyes, he could feel how embarrassed I was, how sensitive, my grandmother's words were kind of hitting me. And that evening when I went to dinner and I came back home, there was this amazing note, and it was addressed on the envelope. It said, to my main man, Pierce. I just remember walking upstairs in the big house and just bawling right when I saw that note. First of all, for my grandfather to make it upstairs was really hard at that time. But then the note was just so typical of Gampy. It said, Pierce, I remember days when I could do no right, but then I would go to bed, and the next day the sun would embrace me and all would be okay. You're a good man. You got a bad bounce. All is okay. Life goes on. I love you more than tongue can tell, something like that. And Ganny does too, Gampy. And it was just one of those notes that, you're almost thankful that the boat incident happened so that you can treasure that, because it's so valuable.
Knew that you just needed that encouragement. You'll bounce back.
Totally, 100%.
What do you hope the country learns from the life he lived?
I think, his big line as president was a kinder, gentler nation. And I do think that is what it boils down to. That's what he wanted for this country. It's what he wanted for relationships, and the world is a kinder, gentler world.
I remember their father would want a kinder, gentler world, a really important, more kindness in the world is kind of a parting thought that they hope people think about their grandfather today.
Pierce's story got to me, Norah, because to be able to do that when you're feeling horrible about something and someone telling you, you're a good person, it's okay.
After you wreck your father's boat.
Yeah, it means everything.
It does. It means everything, yeah. Lauren and Pierce, I should also tell you, I asked them about their grandfather's famous sock collection.
Yeah.
You know the socks, right?
Yeah, good.
And you can see the former president's ankles when he began, sitting in the wheelchair. And so they say he did that because he wanted to add a little color and levity. And they also told me he now has probably the biggest sock collection collection in the world. So we'll all see more of that soon.
And I love the socks he's wearing today. They've been showing the socks flying in formation.
And that line, "You got a bad bounce."
Yeah,
I know.
And that you can bounce back from a bad bounce.
And you're still loved. You're not a bad person, even though you've done something that has sort of ticked everybody off. You're still loved. Important message to send.
And just at one point, that "only tongue can tell," that message he would sign on those notes, that is what his 3-year-old daughter, when she died with 3 of leukemia, those are reportedly the last words she said to her father. And today on the CBS This Morning podcast, you can hear our full 20-minute conversation with Lauren Bush Lauren and Pierce Bush.